17.
He's choking me there.
Ooh, spooky. Oh, wait a minute. Halloween is in another, what, 5? Well, no, it's not in 5 months. But anyway, here's a new episode of Radio Rothingham, the world's least professional podcast in Earth. As in literally in Earth. I mean, if you go to the Earth's core, it's the least professional podcast right there. We got with us a few co-hosts. We got the one and only Xaverius.
Yes, I think it might be correct.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. We also got the one and only SanyaWaffles.
Yep, that's me.
What is that too? How do we know?
Well, I don't know. Sekele, are you SanyaWaffles? I'll take that as a no. So, no. There's only one SanyaWaffles and the other one is Sekele. We got with us a new episode here for you. I'm gonna be drawing Rabin from the video game Iconoclasts.
Rabin from the Sons. Like,
So that's not Rabin from Batman. I mean, unless Rabin has gone through a sex change and is in an entirely different universe, then no. So
There were at least 2 female Robins.
Indeed. They were not even robbing people.
anyway, well, I'm not entirely sure why there wasn't an episode last week. I mean, I was there, but I guess
Because we said that we are going to postpone it on this Wednesday, but you didn't show up on the Wednesday.
yeah, because I was like, it doesn't really matter whether I do this on Wednesday or Friday. It's basically the same thing.
Basically, I went to a wedding last week.
That's disgusting.
If I don't show up, then there is no stream.
So, that's so heteronormative of you. Come on.
That the fact that there is no stream without me, or the fact that I went to a wedding.
Yes.
You went to a wedding, but I also set myself up for a joke because
you are a joke, Artrix.
no, the joke is that I assumed it was a heterosexual wedding, but what it was
Well, it's Slovakia.
gay wedding. Come on.
Artrix, it's Slovakia. They probably had to do blood tests to verify they are a man and a woman.
I don't know about that. Slovakia is pretty progressive. But here's the difference between their progressivism and the one in the West right now. Theirs is probably like, well, we understand that some people are gay. Not everyone. Just,
And they can go to Hungary.
It's pretty out of the ordinary. But, we're not going to be dicks. If you're gay and you want to marry, go ahead, do it. We're just not gonna scream it off the rooftops because we just think it's normal. And that used to be kind of the case in the Netherlands too. But
I think did you really have to use rooftops when you're talking about gays?
yes. Because you see, you can at least give us one thing. We're not throwing them off the rooftops, we're just shouting off them, okay? Well, not shouting from the rooftops. We're not even
shouting from the gays.
I'm going to
the pile of gays and yelling. Those
I'll-
fucking rooftops shouldn't be allowed to marry.
that's actually one of my favorite pastimes. Just go up to my roof and just yell something like, "Oh yeah, look, I'm screaming off the rooftops, but that's better than throwing gays off the rooftops. So you should all thank me, and I now deserve all the virtual signal bucks, but I get nothing. So I'm still kind of confused how this whole virtual signaling works, because you go 0.2 seconds on Twitter and you're just being bombarded with all the virtue signaling. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm so virtuous and shit. And then they become rich. How does it work?
I think they get money
But from whom?
from people who have money.
Yes, which I suppose is incidentally every hipster racist on the planet. For some reason, they all have metric shit ton of money without any apparent marketable skill, which is weird.
Because they are Americans.
I don't know. Well, I know the answer to that question. You see, a lot of them are a trust fund baby, so they virtue signal all day long, and they don't die, and it's mostly because they're living off their daddy's money. But capitalism is bad, and we should abolish it. And I think one of the most prominent examples of this is Jonathan McIntosh. He's basically the Karl Marx of our age, because he has a fucking private island. Yet he's shouting at everyone this is how you should run society. Listen to me. I know what I'm talking about.
Oh, so, when he finally goes home after establishing communism and he goes home for dinner, it's just a plate of nothing. And then he wonders he regrets immediately what he has done.
Well, he can actually implement communism since he owns an entire goddamn island. I mean, let them...
Wait, does he own it or his dad? Because I thought it was his dad.
Well...
Which would make him more like Marx, because Marx lived at his friend Engel's house. So,
yes. So... He was basically telling everyone how to
Marx was a fucking freeloader, Artrix.
He was a fucking freeloader. But, he went around telling other people how to conduct business.
Then he looks like at people doing their labor, and he's like, is this mine?
These businesses that have established these businesses, with their investments and risk-taking and whatnot, they should just give all the profits to the workers, because... reasons.
I mean, isn't it how workers think, though?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like not necessarily workers, but retarded people, because like that happened in our last elections when the crime minister with his party were like, yeah, we are going to force every person who sells in stores or has a pub to give us their transactions in real time to the minister's database, and they voted him. Also, he gave them a free donut.
So every small business is in direct contact with your
every fucking single one, Artrix.
Jesus.
There's no telling how many of them folded because of this, because they just couldn't afford that fucking pill with internet connection.
Yeah, that sounds like a really expensive endeavor. You don't just...
It is.
You don't just... Yeah.
Because, Artrix, stupid people that don't know anything about nothing, except for... I mean, it's not entirely therefore, like, if all you can do to get a work is to work 12 hours a day in a German car factory, yeah. You don't get much of a wide worldview. In any case, what's that beeping? I think I should mute a server or two. Give me a second.
7 servers.
Okay, good. It stopped. Yeah. So they're like, yeah, those people who have shops, they definitely have more money than us. They shouldn't have more money than us because they're doing better than us and we don't like it. So they voted for him and he implemented it and shit happened, right? And workers were, I guess, content. I don't know. The joke is that if you gave a worker all that responsibility, all the stuff you have to deal with on a monthly basis that the shopkeeper does, they would shit themselves.
Yeah, what a lot of employees don't really get is that, while their pay might be shit compared to what they do, there's one big advantage to it.
They
which
don't have
is...
to pay their own insurance.
No, there's that. They're basically...
They don't have to deal with all the legalities.
Yeah, you just show...
I have some insight into both working 12 hours in a German car factory and in the process in which salary is created and distributed.
I mean, as an employee...
I mean, like, okay, I get where they come from, but it's fucking stupid.
Of course.
Real-time logistics. Of course, like, there's a positive to that the pubs that bought a bottle of something and then sold it for in like 4 parts, in which each of the parts was as costly as like the original value of the bottle, right? You know what I mean? That's what pubs do.
Yes.
Oh, they can't do it anymore, right? Which was probably a reason because a reason why some of them folded, because well that was the only thing that was holding them up, honestly. So the ones that were actually making more money than they should on it, as in not money needed to exist, extra money, a extra disposable income. That was, I think it was a very minimal number of those that they had to stop with that. Plus, pubs that really wanted to keep doing that just found a way how to do that. I mean, in the first iteration of the law, some of the restaurants with like garden or something, or maybe like even fucking ice cream parlors with garden with chairs outside, just remove those chairs and like, yes, this is an ice cream to go, so they don't have to put it into the evidence. And I know from personal experience a case where it's a kind of a chain of pubs slash gambling dens, you know, with those automats and everything.
Oh yeah.
Those split into like 4 different companies, so they don't meet some threshold.
They always find a way.
The part about how workers don't need to actually pay their own insurance and taxes and other shit. Well, apparently, the Liberal Party of Slovakia, who at this point are not part of the government, but you know, want to be, they basically want to make start a reform according to which employers would no longer have to do the paperwork for their workers, and each worker would have to do it themselves.
I mean, just imagine being an employee at a company, and well, your salary depends on how well your company is doing. As in, like your baseline salary. I mean, a lot of companies have bonus structures in place where they basically reward employees for their performance. But it's not really to the point where your livelihood is dependent on whether your company does well or not. I mean, if you make X amount of monies per month, as stipulated in your contract, you'll just make that kind of money. So as an employee, you're basically just another expense to the company.
Indeed, because of all that insurance.
Insurance and taxes.
I mean, most people like get that you have like the brutto salary and the netto salary.
Oh, but here's the best part about it. What a lot of people don't know is that. Here's the best part. You're gonna love this, especially.
It's probably going to be the thing I was about to say.
Okay, well let's see if you were right. So as an employee, you have to pay income tax. Your employer needs to pay tax on top of that. It's employer tax.
Yes, indeed. It's what we call a super brutto salary. Which is like that original sum that's going to be paid from the perspective of the employer. You have this chunk of money, you have to pay the insurances, then you have the brutto, from which you have to, which basically goes to the employee, but from that another part of the insurances is paid, and that's what's left, that's what's given to the employee, and that's the netto.
Yes. And then the employee has to pay taxes over that amount that they get.
Wow, wait, what exactly do you mean?
Well,
so basically, what the liberals want is so that the employer doesn't have to do anything of this, but the employees have to do it all.
No, they already.
I mean, it will surely be an educational experience. You're like, yay, I get more. Wait,
Yeah.
I have to pay more.
I think without the if
The
you
thing, as it is now, with all this taxation, it's going automatically. So if you're like, employer, give me my money to my bank account, then all you get to your bank account is the netto, the money that you actually get, and can buy, I don't know, a pile of bananas. But if you have to do it yourself, then you'd have a chunk of money, and then you'd have to pay your health insurance and your social insurance. And I think in that case, the employer would still have to pay their insurance because, well, it's complicated.
I'm legitimately shocked at just the fact just how stupid the liberals are in your country.
which country? Because we're currently
Sekele country.
okay.
Yeah.
But if you make like a tenner an hour, you actually cost about 30 to your employer.
No.
Well, yes, because
Maybe
Well,
you
okay.
have vastly different rates to our rates.
probably. Well,
But
it's probably somewhere.
Like netto is roughly what was it? 45%. Sorry, 75% of brutto, and brutto is 67% of super brutto.
Okay. Well, it's probably somewhere between 25 and 30 quid.
Yeah. So basically, like from what from what your employer pays for you, 33% goes immediately to the state,
Yes.
and then from that, 25% goes to the state again.
Yes. And then
But that's considered you paying it.
Yes.
By the way.
yes. And then, everything you purchase with your money that you
if you
earned
mean
is
that
also
tax,
taxed.
Yes, obviously. Yeah. Then you
So,
get a chunk of money. Then you buy a pile of bananas, but those are taxed too.
yep. So you pay 6% over those pile of bananas, and yeah, that shit adds up.
Well, that tax is highly variable depending on your country.
Well, we're
they
gonna-
have like 20 and 14% in for like beer and stuff of that nature in pubs.
Okay, that's pretty high already, because over here it's 6% on food, but they're gonna up it to 9%.
Oh, nice. We just have unified, VAT of 20%. It was 21 at some. I think the highest was 24 and the lowest was 18. And there's a as I said, a pile of exceptions. Actually, that 14% rate for dining establishments was because of that mandatory registry. The crime minister was like, yeah, well, we are going to be nice to you now that you have to not scam people and die possibly in the process. By the way, he's still trying to put the government together.
GG.
Yes, I mean what's they called? Elections were in October.
In October, and they still kind of have to try and figure this shit out.
Yeah, because he failed, because nobody likes him. And also, I mean, he's been investigated for working with the communist secret service. Also for misusing funds from EU to build himself a farm.
Sounds fun.
And apart from that, there's personal dislikes. Because, politics.
Yes.
That's nothing compared to our.
And somebody was like, oh, maybe we should do new elections. So better people get to the top. And the president was like, nah, look,
No.
people gave you cards, learn to play with them.
And then everyone died.
Well, so far it's like that. They still haven't learned to play with the cards. But hey, it's our president. People don't like him either. But he's such a huge troll. It's amazing.
Well, they should get a good score.
Did I tell you what he did lately?
What did he do?
He did the trollest thing he did ever. Like, he has a history of being drunk and telling people, especially journalists, that they are cunts and idiots and whores. Yes, like in a talk show. He kept doing that when he was still like a normal politician. Then he took a 10-year break or something, and then he went for a president, and he got voted in. Anyway, so like last year or something, or maybe the last before, a bunch of people climbed the roof of the Prague castle and stole the standard of the president, which like that's fun. They replaced it with a pair of giant red boxes. I like that. That's a nice protest. Then they cut it into 100 pieces, which is the part I don't like. I'm not entirely sure you should damage state property like that, and send it to some random people, like completely at random pick people from the Republic. Anyway, they went to court. I don't know how it ended. I hope they get a fine, but not jail. In any case, the president, a year later or something like this year, that happened last year, he called for a press conference and didn't tell anybody what is the subject of the press conference. Obviously there were many theories and guesses, and when they came there was a nice bonfire. There was a middle-sized brazier, and the president came in and he's like, okay, once again, in vain, I tested the intelligence of our journalists. I went to the internet and there were many theories of what I'm going to announce. Some said that I'm going to announce that I die. Some said that I'm going to announce that I have a grave disease and that I'll stop being a president. And then he just pulled, he called a guy who pulled out the giant red boxes, and the president burned them in the bonfire.
GG.
And then he invited the journalists for a tour that he paid for them on the Czech state symbols and their meaning and history.
Well, I'm sure the journalists had their own interpretation. And
they were very happy and liked it, Artrix.
They probably found it to be very problematic, and it needs to be removed from history.
Well, not really. They were just like, this guy is debasing the office of the president. And I just, my God, I'm glad this man is my president. This is such a great troll move. To be fair, like, his rival that got into the finale of the presidential election was a academic with a really condescending face and no real oratorial skills. Which is fun for a academic, right?
That kind of sounds like Trudeau, to be honest.
I think the real downfall, he lost by like 3% or 2%. He had 49 of or 48. The president had 52, 51, something like that. It was very close. I think he damaged himself by having such a good advertisement campaign, basically. Because you have to understand one thing about Slavs. If you show us something a lot, we start to think that you want to sell something to us. So, seeing his face every 200 meters on a billboard probably wasn't the best thing to spur people into voting for him. You just imagine it. So, average Czech Slav, you go on the street, and there's the guy again. And he's on the bus too, on the posters. And then when you get to the voting, you see his name, and you're like, oh, not this guy again. And you vote the other one.
So in other words, you get like the exact opposite reaction of what he wanted.
Yes, you get annoyed at the end.
Yes. He thinks, oh, so now these people are really going to want to vote for me. But instead, what you actually get is, oh my God, it's fucking them again. And you get like a reflexive tendency to just avoid it.
Exactly. I mean, I saw a ad on Facebook, and there were very hip and cool young people about of my age, maybe even younger. And they were like, young people, we need to cast our vote so others don't vote for us.
We must seize the means of production.
And I was thinking like, well, okay, I'm gonna vote for the guy you don't like, so you don't vote for me.
That sounds like a solid strategy right there.
Damn right. That's what you do.
So you know exactly who not to vote for.
Yes. I mean, the president who stayed a president said that he's not going to make a campaign, and then he changed his mind like a week before it. It was, I mean, it might have damaged him a bit too.
I reckon.
Also because some people might have been like, well, he doesn't stick to his word. In any case, he's back in the office since, what was it, February, I think. And he's gonna be there for the next 5 years unless he dies, so there we go.
Well, isn't he like pretty old anyways?
Yeah, 70 something.
Oh yeah, that is, you know, likely. It's not guaranteed, but 70
I
is...
mean, Trump is 70 something too, but he has like 70 times better physique.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't look like he's going to die anytime soon. That's one thing I'll give Trump. He you know, he may be in his 70s, but he looks like he's still kicking.
He can still wrestle with the best of them out.
Yes, he can still wrestle with the best. Jesus Christ, that gif is amazing. It really is. It's ridiculous. I love it.
As all wrestling. I mean, it's completely legit and real.
No, yeah, this is legit and real. Everything is completely legit. There's absolutely no acting involved.
Yes, anyway, we got here from laughing at Marx for some reason.
Yes, I don't know why. So let's bring up a topic. Sekele!
Okay, let's talk about that one time Monica deleted somebody in real life.
Oh, yeah. So actually, I don't know shit about this topic, so I'll just try and wing this. Okay. Sekele, go ahead and introduce us to the topic.
So apparently, some kid killed himself. Media are blaming the game Doki Doki Panic. That apparently it makes people kill themselves.
Wait, don't you mean
violent video games?
Don't you
What do you mean you don't shoot stuff in Doki Doki?
Don't you mean Doki Doki Literature Club?
Doki Doki Literature Club.
Okay.
What did I say?
Panic. Doki Doki Panic, which is something.
That's a different game.
That's a very different game. But don't go ahead.
The problem is the first, of course, the media claims that the game is a trap. You know, that it lures you in.
And traps are gay. They should like the game.
Anyway, Oh.
Stop with the keyboard.
Oh, that's me, sorry.
Beep.
Sekele, are you alive?
I am alive, but I'm waiting if you guys are done doing whatever you are doing.
We are done with whatever we're doing.
Yes, we are.
The media is claiming that the game is designed as this sort of trap that is supposed to lure you in, claiming it is harmless, and then it tricks you into killing yourself, which is bullshit. Because you know the very first thing you get when you go to the game site is that the game strictly says to you that it's not for children and easily disturbed individuals. On Steam and on other sites, it is tagged as psychological horror. And when you turn on the game itself, it tells you that, you know, it's not for children and easily disturbed.
I don't think wanting journalists to understand that not everything that's drawn is for children is, you know.
Look. We've all seen that journalists trying to get through the tutorial of Cuphead, all right? Let's not expect too much from them. I mean, they were basically lacking basic reading comprehension skills.
Yeah, like I have a feeling most people who are offended by Doki Doki Literature Club can't read, and people may say, "Oh, that's ableist." I'm like, well, it's kind of a necessary thing to be able to do in life. You have to be able to read.
I'm mostly offended at the game because it's animal.
Of course.
Of course. Go eat your pasta and butter.
No, we need more bombs on Japan. Just, yeah.
Well, I for one welcome our Japanese overlords to provide us with such a, even though it was completely made by Westerner, but thank our Japanese overlords for bringing us this amazing video game that was entirely developed in America. But
And this is how you get a suicide artist.
because they played a Jap game, which is not really
Obviously,
Jap.
time read the news, Artrix.
Well, I know about this particular case. I mean, so one kid was like, you know what? I'm just gonna off myself.
Sekele might know something about this if only we let him speak.
Well, is there any more information you can let us in on here?
It actually gets better. Because if you actually look at the information that was given by the parents and by the police, then the description of the game that they give you, let's just say, it doesn't sound like Doki Doki Literature Club.
Yeah, it sounded like they're talking about a completely different game, right?
What was it Doom?
First, they said that the game was online.
Ah. Well, it's on Steam, right? Look,
Well,
they are not tech-savvy people, I think.
well, you see, the last time I played Doki Doki Literature Club, some random came up to me and said, "Get good, scrub," and I was very confused because I was very, very convinced that I was actually playing.
Go on your head and virtually rape you.
No, because I was pretty much convinced that I was playing a single-player game. Yeah, this guy showed up and he was like, "Get good, scrub." I was like, "What? I'm just playing this game by myself. How are you even here?" And then he also questioned himself and maybe a Turing test. I don't know. Maybe I was secretly being Turing tested, and
So
I felt.
Artrix panicked and asked Monica to delete him.
Yeah, because I thought it was really Monica. I thought Monica's real. She's asking me things.
This is my chance to delete her forever.
Well, obviously I deleted her. That's once that happened, I went straight to the character folder and deleted her so hard with the force of 1,000 suns, and then she no longer existed.
Yes.
Except for all the pictures I've drawn of Monica, I may be obsessed. Just maybe.
Or you are Monica.
Well, maybe she has actually. Maybe she's like a parasitic life form, and she's just taken over my body. And I just don't know.
Animal. In any way, what do those descriptions say? Except for being online.
Okay. It's played on a cell phone or on a smartphone.
It's not even a game at this point.
Also, that isn't Doki Doki Literature Club at all. I don't even think you can play it on the cell phone.
Yes.
So it was probably Farmville.
And they also say that the game sends you emails, the voice messages and text messages on your phone.
Yeah, none of that applies to Doki Doki Literature Club.
I don't think that's how games work.
It sounds like it. To me, it sounds like they're talking more about some weird random malware than they are an actual video game. But, it's just.
At this point, I'm convinced they are talking about some sort of chat, and he was talking to a person.
Yes. Yeah. But are you saying that Monica is the person?
I'm saying Monica might not be even real, and this was a different person.
What? Monica isn't real. There's so many plans. I imagine a happy life together, Monica. Or saying it's all a lie.
Well, unless you get the phone.
I'll take that as yes. Well, we'll cancel my plans with Monica. It was all fake. GG, no. That too. I mean, everything involving Monica is pretty gay. That's true. I mean, I'm pretty sure she's lesbian.
She doesn't really care what gender the person she's dating is.
Exactly, so that's only more proof. She doesn't care, so she's obviously lesbian.
Tumblr logic.
She's
Borderline Tumblr logic.
you know, she's obviously just hoping really hard that the person playing the game is female, because otherwise she wouldn't even have brought it up. I mean, just put yourself in Monica's shoes. So you're Monica and you're in the video game, and naturally you can assume that the player's male because the protagonist from the game is male. So why do you even bring up that you even consider the option that the player may be female? I mean, as Monica, you're already assuming that the player's male since the protagonist is male. Yet here she is.
Monica.
Yet here she is, kind of contemplating whether the player's male or not. She's actually opening herself to the option that the player may be female. So she's obviously lesbian. She's just hoping really hard that the player is lesbian so she can les out. And it's gonna be great. She's gonna have a great time lesing out. It's great. Anyway, and is there anything more to this story?
Yes, because apparently, just to show how incompetent these journalists are. Well, a man named PewDiePie, right?
No, I've never heard of him. But go ahead.
So he apparently took the information given research and found out that it's in fact something called Mystic Messenger, which is an augmented reality game.
So why the fuck did they construe this game with Doki Doki Literature Club?
Because they don't because it's journalism. Modern journalism is a fucking dog pile of shit. Second, they had to blame something popular. I have never heard of Mystic Messenger before. I have heard of Doki Doki Literature Club. They don't want you having any fun. That's what these charlatans and Puritans do. No fun allowed. Final destination.
Yes. That kind of reminds me of the story that's completely irrelevant, but
I saw Final Destination movie once. It was such a complex shit.
Is it the one where the characters look very photorealistic?
No, it's a movie about teenagers and they all die, and as the name of the movie says, they can't do anything about it. So, from the start, the premise is boring as hell.
Okay, yeah, that sounds pretty boring. Anyway, so what I wanted to bring up is there's this guy on the internet, you may have heard of him. His name is Count Dankula, and
that Nazi who has a communist tattoo, right?
Yes. So apparently there was this guy from a highly respected media outlet, and he wanted to have
BuzzFeed, wasn't it?
No, but he wanted.
To be fair, at this point, I think BuzzFeed is probably more respected than Guardian.
Yes. Anyway, they wanted to have an interview. So naturally, he said, "Okay, I'm going to have this interview, but it has to be on Google Hangouts, so it can be recorded. So everything that is said is being recorded, so it can take shit out of context. It's not about you. I'm just taking precautions." And they were like, "No." And then he was like, "Okay, then you're not getting an interview." So they went ahead and wrote the article. And naturally, even though Count Dankula has stated 6 billion times that he's not a Nazi, and he hates Nazis, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with Nazis or the alt-right or anything like that, the journalist, who is very professional and really does a very thorough job at really trying to communicate the truth to the world.
Yes, he's a true journalist.
So he opened his article with the known alt-right activist Count Dankula and then some bullshit. And then, of course, Dankula was like, "You warned me." Well, actually, it was more like, something Scottish, but you get the point. And then the journalist replied with some 4chan arrows.
Right, lad.
Then he used some 4chan arrow meme where it's like joining UKIP and not being alt-right. So yeah, in other words, he was really kind to Count Dankula before the interview. And after he wrote his article, he basically got what he wanted, so that's where he became
I saw
total shit.
a very nice UKIP slogan. UKIP. Because why the fuck not?
At this point, it's pretty much has become their slogan.
I found it was because we are running out of options.
Yeah, UKIP is
Yes,
a weird
and
party.
This thing that journalists tend to be like very nice to you to get your attention and get you alone. Then they fucking rape you. Then they write an article that rapes you. Apparently, people know about it because some guy who was like a middle of the roadway person, but then got fucked by journalists, and just to spite them became outright. Bucks something or another. I don't know what exactly. I just remember the special first name. Let me find him. Maybe I can find him. No, I can't find him. Oh well. In any case, he also got a journalist asking him to do stuff. And he's like, yeah, sure, meet me tomorrow in New York. And he wrote an article about it. He didn't go to New York. He wasn't in New York and he had no intention of going to New York.
You just made him go there, not show up, and then just wrote whatever.
He spent the next 2 days luring the journalist from place to place and letting the newspaper pay for it.
Lol. Okay, that's pretty genius.
It's pretty asshole-ish.
That too, but it sounds awesome.
He had the stupidest excuses like, yeah, sorry, I can't come this morning because my neighbor's hogs ran away and I had to help catch them.
Albeit not with the same attention. I kind of did the same with this guy that wanted to boost me on Google. And he was like, yeah, we have this new company and since you're running a company, we're gonna help you get high up on the Googles. So I was like, oh sure, I'll have a meeting. So we met up at this coffee shop, and not in the Dutch concept. They actually sold coffee here. So I basically listened to his spiel and became very apparent that even though they offered a bunch of free stuff, it would cost me quite a lot of money in the long term. A lot of things that I can easily do by myself. So I was like, thanks but no thanks. But hey, I got some free coffee out of it. So what the fuck?
That's how Artrix solicits for solicitors for coffee.
Yes. So I was like, yeah, thanks but no thanks. So yeah, thank you for the free coffee. And then just GTFO.
Bye.
Bye.
I used to do this kind of job, and it is one of the few jobs I genuinely hated.
Well, any kind of outbound call center job or anything like it is terrible.
It's basically mental prostitution.
Because you really have to pretend that you're very excited about the thing you're selling, but you're really not, and you don't care. And oh god.
I was cleaning toilets, and I enjoyed it much more than this.
Than actually interacting with people.
Interacting with people, trying to convince them to want something they don't want.
Yeah,
on the bright side, you could be a good marketer for like one-use toilets. Do you shit? I do. Do you like to clean toilets? I don't. Trust me, I've been doing it for some time. What you need, my friend, is our one-use toilet.
You can use it one time and you just chuck it out through the window. But a observant person will look at this premise and think, what if I just chuck the shit out of the window directly? Cut out the middleman.
That's how you get it, and that's how you get the Black Plague.
Exactly, but I'd be saving so much on water. I mean, come on, it's the current year. We have to save the environment. Use less water and energy,
That's true.
Yeah. Every single goddamn company is like, yes, we gotta save the planet, use less energy and shit. Well, now it's literal. You have to literally chuck the shit out of the window, because why flush it down, go through the entire process of having it cleaned and shit? No, just chuck it out of the window, let nature do its course. Nothing can possibly go wrong. It's fine.
And then the Black Plague happened.
But that's just that's just a small side effect. That's the price you're gonna pay for progress. Aren't you? Aren't you progressive, comrade?
Look, Artrix, it's probably the alt-right who caused the plague.
Exactly. Are you alt-right? Are you? Are you Nazi?
That everyone who doesn't want to slit the throats of all white babies is supposedly a Nazi, then yes, I am not a Nazi.
Do you want to send everyone that isn't white to concentration camp? You probably do, because you don't want to have Ebola.
Want Ebola.
Okay, sorry, I meant super Ebola.
You need super Ebola to know the super way.
As opposed to the regular way, of course. Anyway, we should probably bring up a new topic. Does anyone have a topic they want to bring up that we can talk about? Sekele is always full of topics. 1, 3, go.
Considering that we were talking about media being bullshit,
Uh-huh.
that one thing, apparently a week or two ago, someone shot a bunch of journalists. All the details. You said you know something more about it, don't you?
Not really. All I know is that they shot up a newspaper thing.
I actually know a lot about this. The guy who did this apparently had a grudge against this newspaper because they kept defamation, slang. I forget what lying about him essentially is his excuse for. He apparently had a track record of convictions. He somehow got a revolver and shot up a bunch of these people in revenge. That's the leading theory right now, right? However, good old Milo Yiannopoulos decided to speak his mind about it, and he basically said that we need to start killing vigilantes, need to start killing all journalists, and basically when he got flack for it, everyone's like, he's just like, it's just a prank, bro, basically.
Also, I'll be off to the bathroom. I'll be back in a bit. So you guys are on your own.
Yeah, but the problem is that he went over the line, but the media started claiming that he is the one who gave the order for the shooter to do it.
Which is wrong. I don't think Milo would stoop that low. He's a crummy person in some aspects, but I don't think he's the type to. I think there's just too much liability about that, and
I'm pretty sure the only thing Milo wants to shoot is his boyfriend's dick. Wait, they are married already. His husband's dick.
But I mean, what people have to realize here with this story is Milo Yiannopoulos is a provoker, right? He says shit.
Well, he is a dangerous faggot.
Yeah, he's a fucking flaming, idiotic, talks too much, kind of guy. He instigates things. He's an inflammatory kind of person. That's his personality. The fact the media, however, is trying to say that he's anything more...
Did you just say that a obviously flaming gay guy talks too much? Mm-hmm. That's pretty stereotypical, you fucking racist.
By the way, have you seen the pictures he released on the 4th of July?
Milo Yiannopoulos, you mean?
Him in a Stars and Stripes dress. Wearing a dress.
Least offensive thing he's done.
Oh yeah, that was
as an American, I approve.
That picture was fucking great. I love it.
Like, Milo Yiannopoulos is obviously he's doing an attention whore. Like, I know he's a very touchy subject, but that's my view on him, and I'm not going to be one of these people that apologizes for his actions. On the other hand, I think blaming him for the journalist shooting is a bit much.
The media, including the CNN, kept saying that he gave the order for the journalist to be shot, and even after the police looked into it and said, yeah, he has no connections to it, this guy was in it on his own, the media kept saying that it was Milo's fault, that he gave orders, like even after there were obvious evidence that
Then again, if we learned anything from Gamergate, you know, the FBI came around and said, look, we found no evidence that Gamergate was actually sending death threats and whatnot. We have, like, no compelling evidence that this is some sort of big orchestrated effort. It's probably just one or two guys that are just being a bunch of douchebags. Most of these people are just not content with the state of...
Speaking of this particular FBI research, I just add that they did find something. They found that the supposed victims were actively sabotaging their investigation.
You mean the one where they were looking into Gamergate and they discovered not only that Gamergate is not to be blamed for the things that they are being accused of, now it turns out that the supposed victims are actually giving the FBI a hard time.
The supposed victims were basically sabotaging the FBI investigation.
G fucking G. Pun intended.
Isn't that what we call obstruction of justice?
It is, and going back to this whole ordeal with Milo, if the media is really go out of its way to accuse him of giving the order for what is essentially an execution, that's slander. You can get into some serious legal trouble for basically going around telling the entire world, look, this person has committed a criminal offense, and we know it's false, but we're going to announce it to the world anyway. That's pretty much libel, because you're basically obstructing someone else's liberty.
You know, I'm not a big...
What's
going on?
What is happening, because Milo announced that he is going to file a lawsuit against.
Of course. I mean...
And I actually, in light of this information, I'm not a big fan of him. Obviously, I've made that clear. But I support him in that app, because if he is actually being slandered for this, like, it's obviously what he said was meant just to, provoke people. It wasn't... There's no evidence that he actually contacted this guy and said, hey, do a hit on it. I mean, the FBI would know. Trust me, the NSA would know. The fact they have nothing is basically like, so for me to defend Milo Yiannopoulos is basically me saying he may be a douche, but he's in the right here. Like, I will not defend him on much else, but I will defend him on that.
I mean, Milo is a little bit too libertarian for my taste. So, yeah, I don't really see eye to eye to him exactly when it comes to politics. There's some things where I'm like, yeah, you go, guy or girl, whatever he wants to be called these days. But yeah, you should have the right to say the shit. And also the things he says are, perfectly fine. They may be controversial. It's not like, people make it out as if he goes out to a place and everyone just turns into the next Hitler or something.
People, in fact, someone like Tumblr basically lost their shit, like they do, on the fact that all this happened, and I was skeptical because when it's Tumblr, I'm always skeptical of what fucking Tumblr does, right? And one of the things I noticed was no one was realizing that by basically feeding into Milo, you're basically giving him more power.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing: some people you have to starve them attention. Milo is one of these people.
Milo's definitely one of those people.
Like, you don't, like, I'm not saying you censor him, but if you don't want to listen, don't fucking listen to him. Go somewhere else. Of course there's always going to be bigots listening to him. There's always going to be, like, ultra pseudo-liberal retards listening to various people on Tumblr and Reddit and various other. They have a right to say what they want to say, but they also have a right to counter it or ignore it. Why can't people do that? Why can't people just counter his arguments or just offer, maybe just for once, just ignore him? That's what I end up doing.
I definitely have taken notice to what he's saying, and I came to my conclusions like, okay, you got some points, but it's also like, okay, this is going a little bit too far, I guess. I mean, it's all about the free exchange of ideas, and you're not always gonna like everything a single person says.
No.
I'm sure there are people on the Artrix chat who pretty much don't like anything I have to say because I'm strict. I'm not. I just want to say I'm not a big gun control person. I'm not. I think we need to look at the social areas that we're failing at that cause people to go do like what this guy did.
That's one.
That sort of thing.
That's one example. I mean, I know from experience, know from other things you've said, you don't personally own guns and don't have much of an incentive to get them. But
no, I just, it's not that I don't trust myself. It's just, I personally, I've never felt the need to have a gun.
Yeah.
But I have a right, if I have no record, to go out and get one. And I've always noticed that whenever these people who try to say how easy it is, they always end up getting caught. Like there was a journalist who basically tried getting a gun, right, for example, and he failed the background check because he was convicted of being a wife beater.
Ooh, oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, I hope he was a feminist.
There's probably a 80% chance of that being just the case.
Feminist, these kind of guys.
I don't know what political alignment he had, but obviously it was not center right or right wing at all.
You mean, and by center right, you mean far right extremist?
Yeah, I because I don't see that like someone more center left or center right doing this. I see this as obviously some like very leftist person who has no concept of how guns work. Like that's the thing. I learn about how guns work, and the more I understand, the less I'm terrified by them. Not that I was ever really that terrified to begin with.
Well, you press the trigger and the terrorists die.
But people forget that the gun on its own isn't like the gun doesn't just go. I actually was talking with someone about this, and I had an idea right for a. Like some sort of parody video where the whole idea, like it's an animation where the gun literally walks, talks, and is possessed, and it tells this person to go do a horrible crime.
Damn right. Thank God we don't
because that's what these people honestly believe.
We don't have such programs in the EU. All we have to deal with are the trucks, those fucking trucks.
But Sav,
I wish the trucks go away after.
Sav, it's okay. They put big concrete blocks around our shopping streets. You're safe.
What if the trucks learn to jump, Artrix?
There is nothing to worry about. The government's got under control. Okay.
Oh, and that's another thing. Here's the thing, right? Someone did the math on Tumblr of all places, and they actually had like statistics to back it up. So while I'm normally skeptical of wire, but this had like some evidence behind it. So I looked at it. Basically, the reason they're scared of us having guns is if you take some of the most populated areas with with people who own guns, you basically end up with enough people who could easily overtake. Like if you took the whole 50 United States and let's say like 5 major states, I forget which exact states it were, I don't have the article right on hand. But basically it was like Pennsylvania, Michigan, a few other hunting states, right? If you took all the people who own guns, they could easily kick the American government's ass if in a rebellion. Oh, and it gets very interesting, right? It gets very interesting. The fact that every gun owner in the United States could literally kick like rival armies like China or Russia. So basically, if you took
I don't
every
think
gun
so.
owner,
Russia would just take bombers and bomb everything. That's what they do.
I'm pretty sure they're talking about like if literally everyone owned a gun. But even if you take into just account just the fact that only some will own guns, right? It's still a substantial amount. It's literally enough that these people will they'll make it known that they have got that you wouldn't want to mess with them basically, which is why they're so afraid of us owning them. A lot of politicians don't like the idea of us basically being in that kind of...
Of course not, because now you have a situation where, yeah, the government can probably take on these people, but you actually have to put in effort.
Okay, wait. But if the government's afraid of people who have guns, and therefore people who sympathize with government would like to get guns away, right? Why do the journalists think Trump is Hitler but want to get rid of guns?
Yeah, if you're super anti-Trump and don't want to be trumped by his Trump government, wouldn't you want to be able to at least have that card up your sleeve? To be able to.
That is because all of these journalists are secretly Nazis.
Well,
I had a guy talking about it today. It was quite an interesting question. There was an answer provided because it really depends on the geographical area. Because people in a big city tend to have a police on speed dial because there's police every 5 blocks or so. You can just call a police and police stuff.
I'm gonna stop you right
But
there.
if you Artrix live in motherfucking nowhere, Arizona, and you get a burglar, it takes about 3 hours for the police to arrive. So you'd have to have a gun.
But Xaverius,
A lot of these...
I don't have my police on speed dial. What are you talking about? I'm a city
Because
fag.
you're not American, you're not free enough, Artrix.
Oh yeah, that's right.
All right, and here's the problem a lot of people forget. A lot of these, like, anti-gun people live in an area where cops are literally on patrol.
Exactly what I said.
Exactly what you said. So, in turn, take someone like me. I live out in the country. I live in a little town north of the next major city. And it would take about... I've timed when I've ever heard a domestic situation going on with one of my neighbors and the arrival time of the sheriff, basically our county police. It takes about 10-15 minutes tops. And that's just because we happen to have sheriffs on patrol, right?
And you happen to be close to an interstate, right?
Yes, I-70 literally is right near us, so that we both have state, and there's also a major north-south highway right near where I live. So we got state and sheriff. Basically, But here's the thing: that is still an awful lot of time where you could literally get killed. Like, imagine.
Several times. I mean, bullets are pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, imagine if you if my apartment was getting broken into, and Ohio has a castle doctrine law. As long as I take enough precautions to try to minimize, like, I avoid everything but just randomly shooting the guy, right? Like, if I hide myself, I can still, if at that moment I'm protected myself and I'm still in danger, I then can shoot.
Okay.
And I've had this debate with other people on the Artrix, and they're like, Sanya, just trust the government. I'm like, the government doesn't respond quick enough. And not only that, if they're corrupt, do you think they're going to side with me?
You just need to ask Mike Pence to move in with you. To use his awesome shock powers on the burglars.
Oh, he would do that that would be the most annoying as a roommate. He just wakes me up.
Speaking of which, do you know old news, like from the 80s or 90s, where Donald Trump took down a burglar?
He was just chilling in Trump Tower, and
he took down a mugger on the street.
he was just chilling in one of his Trump Towers, and a burglar just showed up, and he was like, "I'm gonna mug you." And,
he climbed in through the window on the 78th floor.
And Trump was like, "No, you." That's it. That's the end of the story.
Yay! Finally.
Anyway, somehow we got into the tired discussion of gun control. We should probably find another topic because we.
Yeah, we
violence. Have you heard of the shit that was going down in France last week?
Actually, no. What was going on in France?
Actually, kind of surprised there wasn't more media coverage of it.
Lots of stuff happened in France actually lately.
Basically, imagine the situation. Militant vegans were attacking grocery stores and butcher shops because they sold meat and animal products. And I'm not talking about just protesting them. I'm talking about vandalizing them and assaulting employees.
That's usually. Oh, go ahead.
So bad that the Association of Butchers asked the government for police and military protection.
But did they actually get it?
I don't know because
I don't think when you are a vegan, that's a good idea to harass a butcher, because butchers are usually 2 meters tall, have 100 kilos of muscles, and have cleavers.
Especially the cleaver. That probably is the deciding factor here.
Look, if without a cleaver, these guys, what do they do all day? They move halves of pigs around. I'm pretty sure they can move a vegan a few meters.
That can generally be said about just about.
Important thing. These were French.
Well, that means they also got baguettes lying around. So
Yes.
all
Artrix old baguettes that have been on air for days. They're basically spears at this point.
well, yeah, they just use the excuse of oh yeah, I forgot to put these baguettes away, but in reality they're just using them as assault weapons.
Yeah.
So
Like, je suis vert.
so
I'm gonna sharpen my baguette.
when you spend day in day out just hauling around big chunks of jambon and baguettes and maybe poisson. I mean, to some vegans, poisson isn't meat. I find this to be very odd. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
so poulet in.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how the church did it in the Middle Ages. It's like, yeah, poisson isn't a meat. You can eat it.
Yes. So
Also, I think the pronunciation is more like poisson than poisson. Honestly.
so yeah, when you spend all day holding around bœuf and jambon and poulet, and then this scrawny guy comes along with this iPhone 10, and you're like, you all may, except it would be something in French, which would probably be more something like putain. I don't know. I don't know what the general slang in French is. I filled my heritage, but
You should know exactly 2% of the slang article.
yes. Well, actually, I think got it down. I mean, isn't knowing the words putain and jambon and poisson and those very basic kindergarten level words, doesn't that account for 2% of French? I mean, surely their vocabulary can't be any more extensive.
Wow, Sidney. Talking about vandalism and attacks and butchers. Butchers, rather. There was a clash of fucking Nazis and brave anti-Nazi anti-protester in the US of A.
Of course, of all places.
I just find it funny, because those fucking Nazis actually had a permit. And they were not Nazis, they were just some patriotic group. They was like, yeah, we like America, look, what a nice flag. And the brave anti-protesters were actually fucking communists dressed in black. And then they were like, yeah, come at me, bro. But then one of them did a fatal mistake of throwing some sort of small grenade into the patriots. It did a boom, a lot of smoke. I hope nobody was hurt. But yeah, the patriots were not very happy. So they were like, you what, mate? You what, pal? You what, buddy? And then they took a few steps towards the Antifa line. And the Antifa line held about 2 seconds, and then there were no Antifas anymore. I don't know how that happens.
Well, Antifas...
But there were a few nice scenes from that. Like, there was this guy, long hair. He was very into kickbox, I guess. He was doing like these air punches and everything. Then there was this older black gentleman who was pulling on some sort of banner, or maybe it was a flag, I don't know. And he just looked up with his MAGA hat on, and so this guy clad in black doing some air punches. I was like, nah. He pulled forward and with one punch knocked that dude out and went back to pulling the banner or whatever that was.
Surely there are these LARPers are a real threat to everyone.
Definitely.
Yes. But that's kind of funny. So you got these.
Well, I had 9 people were arrested, so I guess that's a good distribution. I guess that was violence on both sides this time around.
So you got these nationalists.
What's serious that is that they come in a formation with intent to do violence and to do harm, with weapons, with metal bars, with grenades. Well, like small grenades. And they usually get knocked out with one punch. Oh, talking about the metal bars, there was actually a guy. They had a disagreement. The fucking Nazi and this brave anti-protester. And the brave anti-protester came prepared with a metal bar. And the fucking Nazi was like, don't hit me. Don't hit me with that. But he was a fucking Nazi, so obviously he got hit with it. But unfortunately he got angry and he came to the guy and took the bar away and punched him, and then the guy just folded on the ground. Stayed on the ground. His friends came running in and just dragged him away. He didn't fucking make a move. Like, why? What the fuck? The moment you get disarmed, you are instantly KO'd. Jesus. And good on the Patriot guy. Once he dealt with that problem and got the bar, he pulled away. He went back to whatever he was doing before.
So
he didn't seek any more violence.
That's actually pretty cool.
He just removed the threat and
GG.
returned to his business.
But it is. Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've actually heard of Antifa doing violent shit before. They hit a guy with a bike lock.
Oh yeah.
Some guy who wasn't even in the protest. He was just caught up in the middle of it.
Well, you are not dressed in black and your face is showing. Obviously, you are a Nazi.
But the funny thing about that is,
and he was a college professor.
He's still not being, he is being prosecuted for it, but yeah, it's just they just keep postponing it, probably until it's forgotten. Yeah. So I think the people actually doing the prosecuting don't really mind him all that much. Like,
I'm just saying that once again, Antifa proved that no matter how much they come prepared with the intent to be violent, they still get their asses handed to them like nothing.
Yeah, but we
what
got.
Do you expect? They are most likely vegans.
And
LARPers. But Jesus, you come in with a metal bar, you get punched once or twice, and you just. He didn't even try to get off the ground after that. He just fell and was fallen.
But the bike lock guy that was like uncalled for. That was some really bad shit. I mean, that could have easily killed the guy. It is essentially
if a assault with a deadly firearm. Like, except it wasn't a firearm, you know.
Isn't that classified as manslaughter? No, that's something else.
I think it might be a assault with a deadly weapon because, you know.
Assault with a deadly weapon. They actually, I don't think it's just going to be simply forgotten, right? Here's why.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
here's why,
this is a part of Antifa tactics because they are fucking terrorists.
No,
I would advise at some point that women should take like a shopping bag or something and put something heavy, maybe even a rock into it, and then smash somebody with the bag. And you know, if the guy's like, "Oh, that hurt," that's not an ordinary bag, and try to take the bag away or I don't know, slap the lady, then obviously he would be the aggressor. Because why would you slap somebody just because you got hit with a shopping bag?
There's also... Okay.
No, I was just going to say, according to Internet Historian, that they basically... I don't think it's going to be simply forgotten, Artrix, because they actually upgraded it to a charge that basically... Yeah, you basically assaulted you all but assaulted it with a firearm with the intent to murder. Basically, that's what they're doing.
Okay.
So I don't think it's going to simply be forgotten. In fact, if anything,
an arm on fire.
In fact, I think they're just going to probably. I probably think part of it is they want to find a jury that's not partial to this. But on the other hand, you know what I mean. Like they want to give the guy a fair trial, obviously, and it's hard to do that when it's basically the whole internet basically turned against this guy, except the obvious Antifa people. Like. It was a series that could have killed the guy. In fact, I think it was amazing. He only had a few stitches on his head. Everything else was literally, I think it could have easily have killed him, as you said. So I don't think they're going to just forget about it. In fact, if anything, they're going to remember this. And I would like to see I would like to see Antifa be seen like the Klan or a terrorist group.
Well, they are a terrorist
group. They are, I know, I agree, but they're not classified as one. In fact, I know some people who would probably join the Antifa.
Didn't they recently?
When I said they are a terrorist group, I mean they are a classified terrorist group in the USA at least.
Didn't they recently classify Antifa as terrorists?
As a domestic terrorist group.
Yeah.
Can you link that to me? I would like to see. Like, I believe you guys, if multiple of you are saying it, but I want to see it because I want to show some people that. I'll be like, if I ever catch a friend of mine joining the group, I'm going to report them.
Kill them in cold blood, please.
No, I am not.
No, that don't, and here's why. Also, calm down, boy, calm down.
It gives them more ammunition and holds them as
it basically makes them martyrs, yes. So don't do that.
I will report them though, and I will keep evidence of them because it would be the same if one of my friends joined the Klan or the American Nazi Party. I honestly think they're just on the same level at this point. And that guy drinking the coffee changed my mind.
It's kind of like don't be that guy that reports people for having quote unquote wrong thing. I mean, if they just hold certain opinions that you don't agree to, that's one thing. But if you have actual evidence that they're planning to do actual unlawful actions.
Yes, that's where I mean, just hold it, saying you hate Trump, saying you sympathize with anti-Trump people, that's one thing, right? But going beyond that, like to me, actually plotting meticulously to join an Antifa rally with the intent of doing physical harm to anyone you see, regardless of whether they're a Nazi or not, I can't stand by that. I don't like. What if you're wrong? Not just the fact that you shouldn't be hitting people randomly. That's uncivil as fuck. What if you're wrong? What if you hit? I mean, as I said, the guy who got hit by the bike lock wasn't even part of the Nazi rally or the Antifa rally. He was just some guy trying to calm the crowds who happened to be caught in the middle.
But dude, you see, he was obviously part of the system.
Well, I'm sure that's the excuse people are going to say, like it was.
Well, it's the mentality. It's the mentality of, and this is an actual thing that communists here used to say, as this was a slogan, who's not with us is against us.
Well, that's not communist. That's basically any strong ideological
I'm just giving an anecdotal example.
But yeah, someone who, well, you didn't actually live in communist times, but as someone lives in a country that used to be communist, yes, that's probably a term you've heard come about a few times.
And read.
And read.
I have several wonderful publications from that era. Anyway, I'm getting bored.
Yeah, we should probably bring up one more super topic before
let's talk about that one time where people voted in the EU and
they're
gonna vote again.
Yeah.
Good, the guys, the EU totally works. It's super democratic. Crisis averted. We can all go and support the EU now because they did something that we like. So it's super democratic, you guys. It's all good. We can all give up our natural sovereignty now because the EU works as intended.
Considering Article 13 and 11, the fuck memes and give us money articles, they were voted on in the session of the EU penguins, and apparently it was voted in the best possible outcome that we could hope for, that the voting will be postponed until September.
So wait a minute. So what you're saying?
The normal process in EU is that the initial commission of people votes on it, and then it goes to a special group of people that's very secret, and then they vote on it again, more like, yeah, sure, why not, and pass it along, and then it starts existing as a law or regulation, whatever, right? Well, this vote that has been won by people who don't like the articles basically means that those fucking dirty peasants can see it now. Like, can you imagine that, Artrix?
People actually knowing what the politicians are doing.
The dirty citizens of the EU countries can now actually see and react to what the EU is going to do. That's terrible.
So yeah. In other words, no, it isn't gone yet. They basically just voted to have them vote on it again.
Yeah, they voted for it to instead of being automatically put forward and made into a law, for it to be actually voted on whether it's going to be a law or not. Which, knowing EU, they are just going to vote so many times until they get a outcome they want.
Yes.
But now that it's actually going to be public, it's fucking insane. Now that it's going to be public, the MEPs in the parliament can actually object to it and add amendments to it, so it actually does something good instead of raping everyone.
So yeah, isn't it great? You get an unelected EU Commission that can just create laws and
Honestly,
and not even tell you about them.
And not even tell you about it. And at the very last moment, you can sort of have your representative in
and at the
parliament.
Very last moment, you can convince your representative to vote, so you can know what the fuck is going on.
Yes. Sounds fucking great. Anyway, Sekele.
Anyway, I can add with some minuscule level of pride that all Slovak representatives in the European Parliament voted against it. Which, of course, now all of the parties are trying to turn into their personal credit to show how great they are.
Like I said to you guys, the EU is totally great. We're actually listening to you guys. Nothing to worry about.
The Liberal Party and the Conservative Party of Slovakia are both very anti-EU, taking credit for stopping, for voting against this.
I just, whenever I try to tell people why I don't like the UK and the EU, and I prefer the United States in a lot of ways, they roll their eyes, or I get shit where it's just like, haha, you voted Trump, you have mass shootings. I just go,
I will add that we had mass shootings before Trump.
Yes.
Like, here's the thing. I would prefer to have that risk and be able to criticize my government and be able to arm myself and protect myself and my loved ones than live in whatever the fuck you guys are living in right now.
You.
do have guns. We do have guns.
It's just not the same as the US.
Yeah, most people just use them to shoot deer and gypsies, honestly.
Yes.
Do you have a license for that?
Probably yes, because you need gun control's pretty strict, so yeah, you do need a license for that.
Indeed.
Boy.
It's
Lots of people are pissed that EU was tightening the laws.
But how successful were they at actually doing that?
I don't know what happened with it, but knowing people, they probably just kept their guns and went silent.
Well, that's typically what happens. I mean, I even had some family members that held on to guns for a long time. They didn't actually use them or anything. It's just something that they had. Obviously, the government didn't know jack shit. And this is not me admitting that they have them, because I honestly don't know if they still have them. Or which ones even own guns. So, yeah, this is... Just so you know, government, if you're listening in, I don't know. Right, go ahead.
Something that needs to be said. The absolute worst part about the EU is the European Commission.
Yes, I agree.
You mean the organ of EU that makes up all the laws?
That's the problem. They
make up all the laws.
Yes, indeed. Just remove the part that makes the laws, and you have EU that doesn't cram laws down your throat.
But the worst part about the European Commission is the fact that they are not elected.
Yeah.
The Council of EU is elected. The European Parliament is elected. But the European Commission, which is the one who does this sort of stuff, is not elected.
Well, even when you are talking about elected, you have to realize this is the direct democracy, so it's a few degrees removed. Like, you vote a guy at your, like, even when there's like EU parliament votings, some of them can be voted in, like from your country, right? But when they arrive to the parliament, it's all about what they do. You have no say in it anymore. You just voted the guy who was the least damaging, at least according to you, and now that's where your power ends. You just voted the guy. That's it. Whatever the guy does, you cannot influence unless you keep writing letters, I guess.
Basically, just like the regular parliament.
Yes, indeed. But at least those are still in your country.
That, and they usually with the national elections, you elect your parliament. The parliament gets together and they form a government based on the election results. Whereas with the European Commission, it's just kind of there.
Yes, and then it tells you what to do and what not to do.
The problem is you have absolutely no say in who is in the commission, for how long they are there.
Well, other than die, obviously. To be fair, it's gonna be very soon because all of them look like they're 120.
I mean, I'm pretty old, but I'm like a young whippersnapper compared to those guys.
You even have more hair after.
Exactly. They have like super gray hair and shit. And they're probably bald. Like fully bald. And they have wrinkles. And they probably have trouble walking and shit. I can do all of that. Yet they're the fuckers that run the EU.
It's like Artrix can walk and he's taller. Vote him in.
I'm taller and more handsome, which isn't hard considering who's in the European Commission.
Yep.
I mean, that's not...
Well, Artrix, look. Defying the European Commission, that's not what a European would do.
Oh, is that so? Are you calling me traitor now?
Yeah, so I'm not a Europe. Look, Artrix, you don't. What's the word?
You're not
a part of the unified European identity that existed for centuries.
No, I'm not.
there was never a unified European identity.
That's the point
There
of the joke.
was unified Christian identity, though.
Well, indeed, that's what Orban says. Oh, did you see that? There was a interview of the foreign minister of Hungary with some lady on BBC, and he basically told her that they are not impartial, that they are always standing on the side of the people who are pissed that they lost the elections. That's a nice chap. Actually, you know, that made me think of an idea. At one point in the interview, she talked about the laws and how they are criminalizing helping migrants, right?
Which is something that should be done mandatorily.
Yeah,
like
well, apparently that's a terrible offending thing. And she actually told him that that's not a democracy anymore, that's a creeping... what did she say? What exactly was the word? Either...
Called him a fascist.
Yes. I don't know if she called it an authoritarianism or something else. But you know, in that way, like creeping totality or something, which is a rich thing coming in a discussion about EU. EU is nothing but totality.
In light of this, I will go out and say that I don't think hiding refugees should be a punishable offense, because
not hiding, I think, it's helping them get in.
Helping them get in.
Which was basically aimed at all the NGOs that, you know, get them over the borders to Hungary.
Oh yeah, that is pretty, because if they're already in.
And she was continuing again, and then she said, "These are your laws, not my laws," implying that they are not playing as with EU. But yes, obviously they are their laws, not your laws. You are in a different country, you idiot.
Yeah, because if we just decide to have a bunch of refugees live in your house, so that's, you know, that's up to you to decide. But if you're actually helping them cross the border when they're not supposed to, that kind of defeats off, you know, borders.
But focus on what she said. She said, "These are your laws, not my laws." Obviously, they were not her laws because she does not live in Hungary.
Yeah.
I don't think she realizes at this point that there are different countries.
Well, that's, you know, she's obviously a good communist, and she's really fighting for a borderless.
And he was something like, "Well, shouldn't we have a right to choose our own laws, to do what the people who elected us want?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a basic right of self-determination as a country, which is something that EU doesn't allow you, because, you know, in EU, even if you are an active part of the voting process as a country, it's not just self-determination. You can't self-determine yourself because every single fucking decision that you do also involves all #yes all the other countries in EU. You can't self-determine yourself because you force stuff on the other ones, and they are going to do it to you too, not because of malice, but because that's how it works. There's no self-determination EU.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's almost as if they want to create the United States of Europe. But worse.
United States of America are a product of a process that involved killing a lot of British, which was a cause everybody could get behind. So, you know, they had something in common, so they could agree on stuff. But in Europe, with this very, shall we say,
it was just
diverse history of the individual states. I mean, I'm pretty sure Germany tried to culturally enrich us a few times.
It wasn't exactly...
And then France tried to culturally enrich.
It wasn't exactly something that came about naturally. This was obviously centrally played by a small elite that is forced upon the population of Europe.
Indeed. We don't exactly have much to, you know, agree on with.
But...
Well, we have killing the Turks, but, you know, that's apparently not a good thing to do these days.
Killing Turks is always a good thing.
Yes, it's the favorite Slavic pastime. Like, the moment they stop enslaving us, we start killing them.
And anyway, we should probably end this episode since we've been going on for 1.5 hours.
Yes, TLDR, EU bed.
Fuck the European Commission. Fuck them to death.
I was gonna say something along the lines of, why can't we just have the EEC? That was nice.
It's like, yes.
It's
Going
like
over the borders without a passport is nice.
that's Schengen Schengen area, not EEC.
Getting. Well, I was about to get that.
Look, we just
Getting no taxes on trade. That's also nice.
yeah. So basically, all we
Do
need.
we need more? Do we need like
No.
you know, Artrix? There's that famous regulation that tells you how bent your pickles should be and how straight your bananas should be. And I think the worst part about that is that a living human had to come up with that.
Yes. No, but all we needed was, the EEC, so it could, just sort of streamline trade on the European continent and the Schengen area, so we're not bogged down by a lot of unnecessary border checks and shit. Like, okay, let's not have all these border checks all over the place. It's kind of redundant and, over the top. Let's relax it a little bit. Let's have some.
You know what's ironic about that?
What's ironic about that?
There's a debate these days about illegal migration, the borders not being checked, the people not being properly screened, right? I got an ad on a video on YouTube today. It was from the EU.
Of course.
And it talked about how good job the border controls are doing and what all they find.
Well, the only thing I've heard is that Italy is actually.
How does that help you? What kind of person? Look, if you get this ad, you are on the internet. Chances are, if you're on the internet, you know that EU is not doing a good job at the borders. Like, what is this? Is this like, did they forget this ad on the internet from like 2012? Or is this some sort of really weak damage control?
Look,
did somebody in the EU Commission notice that people know?
Look, you're obviously not a good citizen because you're questioning the EU, okay? And we should probably have you sent off to Super Guantanamo.
To be fair, Artrix, I think somebody in the EU Commission noticed that people know, because with them and internet, their response times, that seems about right.
Yeah. Anyway,
yes.
like, subscribe,
video games.
Make this really short. You
Okay.
get 5 minutes.
Look, Artrix, it's very short and it's very verified. It's from Twitter, so it's solid news. Okay, this was this lady. And she was like, since I spent all kinds of time saying it on a Reddit, I haven't talked about actual game dev on Twitter in a while. I wonder why. Here's a thread about writing for the PC character, as a play character, in an MMO. That's her first tweet. Second tweet is, the dirty secret is I'm not sure if it's possible to make an MMORPG or CRPG character compelling, because people have different expectations about what that character will be, as opposed to a pre-designed character in a single player game.
Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, I think this lady forgot, I don't know, past tense, present tense, that dialogue options are a thing. Maybe she was playing too much Fallout 4. I would understand that, that she would forget about dialogue options. But those are possible. Those are even possible in MMORPGs. And you know what's weird about this? This person is working for the same company that makes Guild Wars. What? No. What? You literally solved this problem by adding dialogue options. Evil, good, sarcastic, exactly what BioWare does. Doesn't matter. In MMO, from the basis of the game, it doesn't matter what you do, because your actions can't have that much of an impact. Whatever. So actually, in what was it? That Star Wars MMO, Old Republic, I think. Yeah, that one did it nice. You had dialogue choices, and it seemed like the story is evolving enough along those lines. So you could actually play what you want, and then the character was compelling because it was you. This lady just apparently, I don't know. This is a game designer. How do you?
Sounds very enthralling.
Yes, and then somebody was like, I would like to disagree. And she's like, oh my god, stop mansplaining to me. But that's not the thing I want to talk about that, you know. I just wanted to point out that this game designer person doesn't know how to design.
Those are around, for sure. With that, I'm going to end this episode. Like, favorite, subscribe.
Rate and subscribe.
And give me money. Just.
No, me.
If you give me 1,000 euros, I might consider giving 2 euros to Xaverius. So give me all the money, so some money might end up with Xaverius. That sounds like a very...
That sounds like a pyramid scheme, Artrix. That sounds exactly like you.
Nah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Anyway, see you guys next week for Radio Rothingham. Thanks, bye.
Oh no.